The Magical Baker. In the dreary, grey town of Pinnerville, there lived an elderly baker named Graham. His bakery, with its red roof and chimney that always wafted sweet aromas, stood by the central square. Graham's bread was soft and delicious, but in recent years, the town folk seemed to have forgotten how to savor joy. Even the most delectable cinnamon rolls couldn't bring a smile to their faces. One drizzly morning, while tidying the attic, Graham stumbled upon a dusty iron box. Inside lay an old notebook tied with a faded ribbon. On its first page, in his grandmother's elegant handwriting, were the words, "For those who understand the true essence of happiness." Carefully, Graham flipped through the yellowed pages, which were filled with bread recipes he'd never seen before. Laughter loaf, joyful croissant, blissful donut, each name accompanied by a tiny, smiling face. On the last page was a small pouch, containing golden powder, labeled *mirth yeast, used sparingly. Mirth yeast. Graham pinched a bit of the golden powder between his fingers. It glowed faintly, radiating warmth like sunlight. He decided to try the first recipe, laughter loaf. Following the instructions, he kneaded the dough under the midnight moon, adding a drop of morning dew and 3 genuine laughs. When he sprinkled the golden yeast into the mixture, the kitchen suddenly sparkled with multicolored lights. The dough swelled to twice its usual size, filling the air with a sweet, enchanting fragrance. The next morning, as usual, a line formed outside the bakery, but every face looked as crumpled as rain-soaked newspaper. At the front was Mr. Thompson, the postman, who came daily for his whole wheat loaf. "Try something new today," Graham said, handing him a golden, smiling loaf. "My grandmother's secret recipe." Mr. Thompson took a skeptical bite. His eyes widened, his lips twitched uncontrollably, and then ha-ha. "This is incredible." He burst into uproarious laughter, dancing around the shop with tears of joy streaming down his face. The children behind him crowded closer, and Graham broke the bread into small pieces to share. Instantly, the bakery erupted with peals of laughter, like a string of firecrackers. A perpetually frowning little girl giggled uncontrollably over her crumbs. Even the stern school principal couldn't resist breaking into a silly jig. Word spread like wildfire. Soon, people flocked from all over town just to taste Graham's magical bread. The line outside his bakery stretched endlessly, and each person left with a radiant smile. The town itself seemed to brighten. Housewives swapped drab aprons for vibrant ones, and children covered the streets in chalk rainbows. But Graham noticed the golden yeast was vanishing faster than expected. Though he followed the recipe meticulously each night, the pouch's contents dwindled rapidly. A month later, his heart clenched as he poured out the last pinch, only enough for one final loaf. That night, Graham tossed and turned. The next day was the Midsummer Festival, and everyone awaited his magical bread. If he made just one loaf, he'd get none himself. Moonlight spilled into the kitchen as Graham stared at the empty pouch, suddenly understanding his grandmother's warning, "Use sparingly." At dawn, the square bloomed with flowers and ribbons, and the whole town gathered. When Graham appeared carrying a massive, golden glowing loaf, cheers erupted. "My dear friends," he said, voice trembling, "this is my last magical bread." The crowd fell silent, disappointment whispering through like a breeze. "But I have an idea," Graham continued, placing the loaf on the central table. "If we share it together, perhaps." He sliced the bread into countless pieces, distributing them to everyone. As the town folk bit down simultaneously, golden light burst from their chests, weaving a luminous web in the air. Graham felt an unprecedented warm flood his body. Though he hadn't eaten a crumb, he was happier than ever. In that moment, a miracle unfolded. The joy lingered even after the bread was gone. A little girl hugged her mother, laughing, elderly neighbors embraced, even stray cats frolicked at their feet. The true magic wasn't in the yeast, it was kindled by sharing and kindness. From then on, Pinnerville blossomed into a town of color and music. Graham's bakery remained bustling, and though his bread no longer held magic, everyone had learned to find happiness within. The empty golden yeast pouch hung in his kitchen, a shining reminder of life's most precious secret. Joy is like yeast, it only grows when shared.